Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the DFO Fantasy Podcast morning report for Monday, November the 13th. The DFO Fantasy Podcast is presented to you by Betway. If you're going to place a bet on Betway. Please play responsibly. Ontario only, must be 19 years of age or older. We had a busy week in the NHL last week, so let's take a quick look back at some of the most notable performances from players who should be available on your waiver wire. We'll start with Wyatt Johnson of the Dallas Stars, just center eligible, but only 27% owned at the moment. Massive week for Wyatt. 4 goals, 2 assists in 4 games, including 9 shots on goal, 3 power play points, and 2 hits. His teammate, Matt Duchene, a little bit higher owned at 41%, center right wing eligible. Missed a game due to injury, but didn't matter. He had 6 points, 3 goals, 3 assists in 3 games, while piling up 9 shots on goal and 2 power play points. Braden Shen and Robert Thomas of the St. Louis Blues had big weeks. Braden Shen, 38% owned, 4 goals, 1 assist, including a hat trick in 3 games played. He also had 9 shots on goal, 2 power play points, and 3 hits. As I mentioned, Robert Thomas at 36% owned, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in 3 games to go along with 8 shots on goal, 2 power play points, and a single hit. Alexis Lafreniere of the New York Rangers, left wing, right wing eligible, 32% owned, seems to be finally finding his footing at the NHL level. 6 points last week, including a huge goal last night. 3 goals, 3 assists in 3 games for 6 points. Also had 8 shots on goal and a power play point. Alex Iafallo of the Winnipeg Jets, 22% owned, left wing, right wing eligible. Didn't score any goals, but had 6 assists, 6 shots on goal, 2 power play points, and 3 hits. Leo Carlson, outstanding rookie from the Anaheim Ducks, center eligible, 20% owned, 3 goals, 1 assist on 9 shots, 3 power play points, and 2 hits in just 3 games. He looks really, really good for the Ducks. Still available in 80% of leagues. Make sure you're picking him up. He's only going to get better as the year progresses. Matthew Nyes, the final forward we're going to talk about, left wing eligible, 27% owned. He was on the streaming segment of this show last week. Was really, really good. 2 goals, 2 assists, 6 shots on goal. Did not record a point on the power play, but had 8 hits to go along with it. So unexpectedly impressive in banger leagues as well. On the blue line, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 39% owned for the Florida Panthers, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points in 4 games. He had 6 shots on goal, 1 power play point, and 4 hits. Torrey Krug, very, very slow start to the season, but is picking things up a little bit as the Blues are starting to find some offense. Torrey Krug at 18% owned, had a goal and 3 assists for to go along with 9 shots on goal, 4 hits. So 4 points in 3 games. Nice stuff after a slow start for Torrey Krug. Eric Gustafson of the New York Rangers has been filling in for Adam Fox in the top power play unit, playing some big minutes at 5v5 as well. In 3 games last week, he picked up 4 assists, only one of them surprisingly on the power play, 5 shots on goal and 2 hits to finish the week. And Jack Petrie at just 8% owned, starting to gain some footing in Detroit, playing a little bit more. He's been playing some big minutes in the past couple weeks. Was also promoted to the top power play unit as the Red Wings continue to tinker with that top unit. Petrie seeing a little bit more power play time. It's been pretty solid for him. Hasn't seen any production on that power play yet, but last week, 3 assists in 3 games, 7 shots on goal, and 3 hits. So somebody to keep an eye on, especially in deeper leagues if you need help on the blue line. If he continues to see time on that top power play unit with Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat, Lucas Raymond, there could be something there in Jeff Petrie in deeper leagues. Between the pipes, Mackenzie Blackwood, 11% owned only, which has definitely gone up after some outstanding performances. Finally got the Sharks on the board with 2 wins last week. Had a 233 goals against average, a 944 save percentage in 3 games. Ultimately went 2-1 on the week. Casey Smith, 32% owned for the Vancouver Canucks. He just looks like a guy that you can rely on as a solid streaming target whenever he gets the start. Unfortunately for him, he's not going to see the bulk of the work. Thatcher Demko has been arguably the best goalie in the entire NHL so far this season. So Smith probably going to be relegated to very minimal work. And then obviously you can start him pretty much whenever he gets the call, so long as the Canucks offense has been as hot as it has been so far. Last week, Smith was 2-0 with a 2.02 goals against average and a 935 save percentage. And then Pyotr Kochetkov, we've talked about him quite a bit. His own percentage has jumped about 10% in recent days. Really not that surprising. With Frederik Andersen out indefinitely, this is Kochetkov and Ranta at the moment. Kochetkov, a bit of a tough start to the season, as we alluded to on last week's flagship show, but really, really good numbers in the AHL still. And then this time around, really good stuff. Posted a shutout. I think he had 22 saves in the shutout on his only start of last week. Should definitely earn him more work this week. For now, I would expect him and Raanta to split the crease 50-50 moving forward. But if Kochetkov outplays Raanta, he could see the bulk of the starts and could be a massive addition. So if he's available on the waiver wire in your league right now, he's a must-add at the moment. And then more of a points league target, but Connor Ingram's played really, really well. Last week went 2-0. The splits weren't super strong. 3.85 goals against average and an 899 save percentage. Certainly not something you love to see, but he had a 35 and a 36 save performance. So a little bit more value in points leagues as the Coyotes continue to give up plenty of shots on goal. All right, let's move ahead to this week. We'll talk about the streaming targets for this week. The one caveat for this week, it's kind of a bizarre week, a little bit later in terms of games played. Normally Tuesday and Thursday, you're looking at 12, 11 games, maybe a little bit more difficult to get guys in your lineup on those evenings. However, this week, just 9 games on Tuesday, 9 games on Thursday. The busiest night of the week is Saturday with 13 games. That's really the only day of the week you're going to be fighting to get guys into your lineup. So normally I look at teams with a really, really strong strength of schedule, playing a lot of games. Those are my streaming targets. This week, you can kind of throw a lot of that out of the window because it's pretty even across the board. It doesn't really matter if you've got guys playing on Tuesday or Thursday this week because the light nights just aren't quite as important this week. So let's rattle through some of the best streaming options. We're going to go right back to the guys who had good weeks last week, starting with Robert Thomas and Pavel Buchnevich. Thomas, 35% owned for the St. Louis Blues. I could honestly list almost the entire Blues roster outside of Jordan Kyrou because they're all super low owned. But Thomas is certainly the best option right now. The Blues have the number 1 ranked schedule this week with 4 games overall and the 10th easiest average opponent rating. Thomas is on an absolute heater right now. He comes in riding a 6-game point streak, picking up 10 points, 5 goals, 5 assists during that 6-game span, He's on a point-per-game pace for the season, or over a point-per-game pace over on the season here. 15 points in 13 games. Really, really good stuff from him. 9 assists, 6 goals. Definitely a guy that's going to be more assist-heavy, but the goal production has been pretty solid so far. And so long as he's hot, I can expect that to continue. I think that there's probably some regression coming in that spot, but for a streaming candidate, there's really nothing to worry about here with Thomas this week. So pretty shocking. He's still available in 35% of leagues. We've talked about him a bunch. I'm sure a lot of you guys already have him on your rosters, but he's playing really, really well. Buchnevich, also available in a lot of leagues, 55% of leagues available right now. He's dealt with some injuries, which kind of hampered him early in the season, but seems to be picking up steam here. Had a hat trick and 6 shots on goal in Colorado over the weekend. The overall numbers on the season do not look that outstanding, but he's playing massive minutes, over 19 minutes a night since returning from the injury on the top line with Robert Thomas. He's also on the top power play unit, making him a great streamer this week with a great schedule for the Blues. So I prefer Thomas and Buchnevich, but if neither are available, Braden Shen is definitely a solid consolation prize. He's 37% owned, center left wing eligible. He's also heating up 8 points, 5 goals, 3 assists. That hat trick I mentioned over the weekend in his last 4 games. Nick Ball, he was on the streaming segment last week as well. He scored 2 goals and 10 shots on goal with 7 hits for us last week. So if he's still on your roster, I wouldn't drop him yet. The Lightning have 3 games this week, all on the traditional busy nights, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But as I said, with only 9 games on Tuesday and Thursday, it's kind of a moot point this week. Paul is averaging 18:35 time on ice in his last 6 games, skating on a line with Steven Stamkos at 5v5 and remains the net front presence on that Lightning top power play unit. So his usage makes him an asset, especially in leagues that reward you for power play goals or power play points. Paul has 7 goals, 4 of them coming on the power play, 9 points, 5 of them coming on the power play in 15 games this season. A little bit deeper league target here. Cole Perfetti of the Winnipeg Jets at 5% owns the number 10 overall pick from the 2020 draft. Has kind of had a difficult time getting his footing in the NHL in recent years, mostly due to injury. But this year, he seems to be finding his way. He's been a mainstay on the Jets' second line. You could probably argue the third line, but the Jets' middle 6, let's call it. And he was promoted to the top power play unit recently, and the production has followed as Perfetti is riding a 6-game point streak right now with 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists during that stretch. The Jets' schedule is pretty average this week, but Perfetti is one of the best options in deeper leagues. And if you want to continue to target players who had a really good week last week, Alex Iafallo, 22% owned from the Winnipeg Jets as well. After Gabe Vilardi was hurt, it did take some time for this Iafallo, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor line to click. But now that they've been red hot. Especially Iafallo here in his last 5 games. 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points. Just 7 shots on goal and 3 power play points while averaging 17:46 time on ice. Again, he's probably not going to carry long-term value for you, but he's a strong streaming option because he's just not going to score enough. He's not going to shoot enough throughout the season, but he can certainly pile up the assists and the power play points for you in the short term. So if you're looking for a strong streaming candidate from the Winnipeg Jets, I do like Iafallo and Cole Perfetti. From the Seattle Kraken, Eli Tolvanen and Oliver Bjorkstrand looking pretty good right now. Tolvanen 20% owned. Kraken's matchups are fairly challenging this week, but they are just one of 7 teams with 4 games. So you're going to get plenty of Tolvanen and Bjorkstrand in your lineups this week. Speaking of Tolvanen first here, he's been on fire over the last 2 weeks, picking up a point in 6 of his 7 games. He has 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists, 18 shots on goal, good for 2.6 per game over those 7 games. Bjorkstrand has quietly put together a really nice season. Bit of a slow start, but he's got 11 points in his last 11 games, 6 goals, 5 assists. Shot volume, 2.3 per game, and power play reduction, 4 power play points in his last 11 games are the assets that Bjorkstrand can bring to your lineup this week. If you Columbus Blue Jackets to speak of here, Adam Fantilli, 27% owned, just center eligible. After posting just 1 assist in his first 4 NHL games, Fantilli has 8 points, 4 goals, 4 assists in his last 11 games. He's seeing regular minutes in the Blue Jackets top 6 and was recently bumped up to that top power play unit. It's really yet to yield results, just 2 power play points in his last 11 games. But Fantilli is super talented. We've seen that time and time again early on in the season, and the Blue Jackets are one of those 7 teams with 4 games this week. So the matchups could be better. They're also not horrifying either. Kirill Marchenko of the Columbus Blue Jackets, right wing eligible, 8% owned. If Fantilli isn't available, his line mate, likely will be. You'd love to see more consistent playing time for Marchenko, but he does give you high-end shot volume when he does play. He has 3 goals on 17 shots, good for 2.8 per game, to go along with 2 assists in his last 6 games. Entering the week, Marchenko is 32nd in the NHL in shots on goal per 60. So high-end shot volume, just would love to see him play closer to 16, 17 minutes a night. Right now, he's around 13, 14, sometimes 15. And then some deeper league targets here. JJ Peterka, 8% owned. It remains to be seen how long he will be on that top line with Tage Thompson, but he was promoted there over the weekend. I imagine that could change once Alex Tuch is back. But for now, Peterka's been producing in a second-line role anyway, so whether it's the first or second line with Casey Middlestad probably doesn't matter. In his last 8 games, a 21-year-old has 8 points, 4 goals, 4 assists, averaging a really strong 2.8 shots on goal per game and 16 minutes and 15 seconds time on ice. Lastly, the deepest of league targets here, we've got Connor Zary, center eligible, 2% owned of the Calgary Flames. Zary is an option in the deepest of deep leagues, but he's tallied 4 points, 10 shots on goal, and 16:53 time on ice in 5 games since being called up, and the youth movement just continues. It's in full force in Calgary right now, and Zary will likely continue to operate in the Flames top 6, and he's also on the top power play unit right now, guy that's had really, really good numbers at other levels, so I expect him to continue to have strong enough production to warrant consideration as a streaming target in the deep, deep leagues. Tonight, on the ice, we've only got 2 games. The Edmonton Oilers will take the ice with a brand new head coach. They are minus 170 favorites against the New York Islanders tonight. Not really favorite. I'm not really picking either side here. My favorite bet in this one, the Betway bet of the day, is Warren Fogle of the Edmonton Oilers, over 2.5 shots on goal at a beautiful plus 125. Fogle has hit the over in 6 of 13 games so far this year, over 2.5 shots on goal. So 46.2% clip, but every single time that he's missed it, he's finished with exactly 2 shots. So he's right there. He's had at least 2 shots in every single one of the 13 games so far this season. So his shot volume has been remarkably consistent all year, and he's actually seen a bump in usage in recent games. Been up with Leon Draisaitl. Again, new coach tonight. Anything could change. Because he's so new, like he hasn't had a chance to really put in any of his systems or anything. He might shuffle the lines around a little bit, but I don't expect massive changes in game 1. So I do think Fogle will probably continue to see that middle 6 usage, could still remain in the top 6. So overall, he's averaging 2.9 shots on goal per game. So I love this over 2.5 shots on goal at plus 125, especially when you factor in that the Islanders are giving up the 3rd most shots against per game so far this season. So I love Fogle over 2.5 shots on goal, plus 125 at Betway. Don't really have a bet for the second game, the Seattle Kraken hosting the Colorado Avalanche. The Seattle Kraken plus 125 home underdogs, the Avalanche at minus 150 road favorites. I think it's a bit of an overreaction here in terms of the line. The Avalanche obviously struggling a little bit right now, but most of that I think has to do with goaltending. When they hosted the Kraken at home last week. They were minus 187 favorites. Now they go to the road, which is usually good for about 20 cents. They don't have Lehkonen this time. I still think the like 40 to 50 cent difference between last week is a little bit of a shock. Minus 150 isn't great. I'd be looking more for minus 145, maybe minus 140 if you're lucky. I would get on the Avs at that point. Outside of that, I don't really have a whole lot of interest in this game. But anyways, that is going to do it for this edition of the DFO Fantasy Morning Report presented to you by Betway. A reminder, if you're going to place a bet on Betway. Please play responsibly. Ontario only, must be 19 years of age or older. I will see you guys back here for another morning report on Wednesday. Until then, good luck.